Hi everyone, let's talk about WWE NXT December 2nd, 2025 episode, which was a fun show. Let's talk about it, guys. So the women, Iron Survivor, Cement, and Ever Rain opens the door to all five opponents, and Soruka speaks first and mentions her Gold Rush Week 2 ascensions with Eden Page, and Soruka the misses Eden Page overall, but acknowledging his christening of her as a champion a since performer, and she mentions the difference between her two title era with both the NXT Women's North American title and the WWE Women's Speed Championship in her current titleless era. And then Jordan Grace interrupts and mentions how she came to lose to Gold several times to lose again, and Lola Vice jumps in and tells Grace that she's not the only woman that's been grinding, and she's highlighting that she has given screwed several times before, but it's ready to give back up. And fall women's champion Kendall Gray takes to the microphone, and she acknowledged that she will be the underdog in this match, and she promised to raise the percentage, and she says that she build on big moments, but Kalani Jordan interrupts her to a sea of booze, and Jordan says that Gray is swimming with the sharks, but there is blood in the water, and the booze nearly thrown out Jordan as she dismissed Grace and Vice since Bell title admit, and Jordan compares herself to the electrifying and since Iron Survivor Challenge match format, and dismisses Gray and Jordan and Vice for their experience in the Iron Survivor match type, and Jordan shouts at the NXT crowd to shut up before JC Jane and Final Influence interrupt, and JC Jane comes to get a sense at the competition, but doubles any of the losers before her could ruin her NXT Women's Championship, and JC Jane highlights Soruka broken heart and busts knee before calling Gray the newest flavor of the week, and she recalls both Vice and Grace fallen champions admit, and highlights how Jordan lost her title at Gold Rush Week 2, and Jordan blames her title loss to the meathead Jordan Grace, and Jordan Grace responds with a takedown, and then a brawl breaks out, and Loa Vice and Kendall Gray and Soruka stand tall together against JC Jane and Fallen Haley and Lacey Lane, which we already talked about, guys. We already talked about NXT Deadline. But this was the go home show to Deadline. Then Dia Hill with Joe Henry fences Arya Grace with Lorenzo Stacks. Let's talk about it, guys. So Dia Hill and Joe Henry are already in the ring as Grace made her entrance with Lorenzo, and the bell rings, and Hell gets Grace a slap before the second lockup, and Grace takes them during a raising hold to take big game as she wrenches the younger heel around heel and responds with a drag, but to put Grace also again to put Grace against the ropes, and Lorenzo attacks to distract Hill, and it works, and Grace is able to nail Hill with a neck breaker before blowing a kiss to Lorenzo. Then back into the corner they go, and Grace takes big game as she Joe Henry, also again mocks Joe Henry and gives Thea Hill enough time to recover for a series of flash pins, and neither works. And Jordan Grace, Grace knocks Hill with a snooze forearm, and Hill sends Grace to the outside where she lands on Stacks before Hill falls up with a suicide dive to the outside, and Hill shoves Grace into the ring before landing her out with a suplex and a running knee, and Lorenzo continues to distract Hill, and Joe Henry responds in a counter with a slam onto the apron, and it's not a long celebration for Thea Hill as Grace sends to roll her up, and Thea Hill catches her in a Camaro lock, and Grace essentially taps, and that's how they won, and that's how Ariana Grace, I'll say again, Ariana Grace, I said Jordan Grace, but Ariana Grace and Lorenzo Stacks, that's how that match happened, guys, and I'll say it again, I'll repeat it again. So I'll repeat it again, guys. So Grace goes back and forth with her and stuff like I was saying again, guys. And Theo sends Grace to the outside and where she lands on Stacks before Hill falls up to a suicide dive to the outside, and Hill shoves Grace into the ring before laying her out with a suplex running knee. Lorenzo continues to distract Hill, and Joe Henry's response and counter with a chokeslam onto the apron, and it's not a long celebration for Thea Hill as Ariana Grace since rolls her up, and Hill catches her in a Chimera lock, and Ariana Grace assistly taps, and that's what happened, and that's how Thea Hill and Joe Henry defeated Ariana Grace and Lorenzo Stacks, which I said Jordan Grace, but you know what I'm trying to say, Ariana Grace. A lot of Grace names and a lot of freaking last names in wrestling that have, the same name, so you know what I'm trying to say. So yes, guys, my mistakes. Then Everrain announces that whoever scores the pin in the 8-man tag match between Devon Evans and Leon Slater and Miles Bourne and Joe Henry faces the Dark State will pick his ascents in Deadline Irons of Iron Challenge, which we talked about that show already, like I said. And then Josh Brooks faces Devon Heights, and there's no love lost between these two men. And Brooks essentially Heights entrance, and it's all out brawl, and both men get in the ring to start the match, and Heights gives Josh Brooks since his receipt in the form of some forearm strikes, and Josh Brooks gets countered, but a boot gives him an escape route, and he lands a choke slam and a forearm into Devon Heights before going for a near pin, but Devon Heights kicks out, and in a corner cinch turns into a big duplex from Heights to Josh Brooks, and then Olympican follows up with an incredible clothesline. It's not enough for a full fall, but Josh Brooks looks rocking as Devon Heights connects with two big slams, and Devon Heights gives Josh Brooks some forearm before Josh Brooks responds with one of his own, but Devon Heights turns to the following big boot into a fireman slam, and it's not enough for Heights to get the pinfall, and the man continuing the two men are wasting on the mat, but Heights is the first man up, and he lands sniff blows onto Josh Brooks' back, and Josh Brooks can only find his way out by grabbing Devon Heights' singlet to toss him out of the ring, and Josh Brooks sends essentially control onto the outside and puts Devon Heights picking him up and slams him into the crowd in the barricade, and the TNA, 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 TNA crowd chants. And then as the two men are down or since to the rubble, and then during the break, Devon Heights comes to his feet first, and it's more of the same blows to Josh Brooks' back, and the two men get back in the ring, and Josh Brooks lands waist to Devon Heights and pummels Devon Heights in the corner with some brutal stomps before taking his opponent to the corner of the ring, and Devon Heights is growling for breathe, but stands in the match despite in the heavy offense, and Josh Brooks straps Devon Heights' arm into the ring ropes before the ref forced him away. Then Josh Brooks continues to lay the hurt onto Devon Heights, but the Olympican kicks out at every turn, and Devon Heights since as Josh Brooks ascends in an arm drag, and then back from the break, Devon Heights as a sense splash of light as he breaks out from Josh Brooks' arm lock, but Josh Brooks responds with a heavy slam and another arm brace submission ascents from Josh Brooks, but Devon Heights powers out, and it's Devon Heights' turn to lay on the pain, and he comes in the form of some strikes and a nasty drop kick, and Devon Heights in an arm problem, and only gets worse as Josh Brooks strips him into the corner where his armpit ricochets off of the Sin's bottom rope, and Josh Brooks sends Devon Heights into a Sin's corner and sends to his hair and face before sending him across the ring into the corner across, and Josh Brooks plays once again. Josh Brooks plays school bully. I'll just say that, guys. I'll repeat it again. Josh Brooks plays you know what I'm saying, guys? Plays school bully. You know what I'm trying to say, guys? I'm getting stuck. So I'll just say that. So Josh Brooks plays school bully, but the third corner whips falls him as Devon Heights ducks to come back to life, and Devon Heights stunts with a comeback ascents at the end and a sling slot slam, and both men are nursingly where, and Josh Brooks ascends to the end by striking Devon Heights with a chain fist. Well, the ref dispense of the legal weapon, and Devon Heights lands a powerful slam onto Josh Brooks, and the ref delies counts allowed for Josh Brooks to get on his feet on the ropes, with Devon Heights argues with the ref, and Josh Brooks nearly sends him with a big boot on one. Essentially, lariat was all Josh Brooks need to score the pinfall on his rival, and Josh Brooks won, and that's how he won the match, and he won and defeated Devon Heights. So yes, guys, like I was getting when I was getting stuck, I was saying elementary. I was meant to say elementary, but yet he was being an elementary bully. Josh Brooks. He was being an elementary school bully and stuff, and all of that stuff, and bam, 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 back and forth with Devon Heights, which was a fun match. I loved it. Then we had Easy Dame text to the microphone, and Easy Dame begins addressing the NXT crowd, and she highlights that she given Tatum Paisley plans of opportunities in a sense that Tatum Paisley was a waste on offer, and Easy Dame denies that she betrayed Tatum Paisley, asserts that she directs a mistake, and the mistake in question, since that Tatum Paisley was equal, and Easy Dame takes credit of digging Tatum Paisley out of her slough, and claims that she cried to pros into Tatum Paisley. The NXT crowd chant, "We want Tatum, we want Tatum, we want Tatum," as Easy Dame highlights once again, Easy Dame highlights Tatum Paisley's their sense and repeats certain issues, and Tatum Paisley. I'll say it again. Tatum Paisley was great. I'm telling you, she could have had a better run as NXT Women's Champion. I'm telling you guys, a better freaking run, a better freaking run. I'm telling you, but it is what it is. But anyways, back again. Easy Dame climbs. I'll say it again. Easy Dame claims that Tatum Paisley wastes the gift presents to her by Easy Dame in the cooling. She takes credit for building Tatum Paisley as a champion, and questions if Tatum Paisley could have done it on her own, and she claims that Tatum Paisley only became the NXT Women's Champion because Easy Dame allowed her to, and that her Gold Rush betrayal was only overdue since of her service, and she then lays down the challenge to Tatum Paisley a match at Deadline, and she promised Tatum Paisley that she will end the version of Tatum Paisley that refused to involve, and Tatum Paisley's voice comes over the Titron, and she sends to her tears in the cooling sin spot, and Tatum Paisley asks Easy Dame why she tore apart their relationship, but Easy Dame challenged her to come out to the ring and face to face, and Tatum Paisley refused and in tears, and convinced that the also confronts that at Deadline she will have to make Easy Dame feel all of her pain. Then we had Kendall Gray and Loa Vice and Soruka fences JC Dean and Fallen Hazley and Lazy Lane in a trios match. Let's talk about this trios match. It was fun. Let's talk about it. So Vice and Reed look to start the match, but all six women quickly get involved over Reed disrespects Vice with some shoves, and Welsh. Each woman teammates brawls, and Lola Vice lays out Reed with a Bronco Buster onto the outside, and Fallen Haley neutralizes Lola Vice with a swing from the post, only to have her party spoiled by a flying Gray, and JC Jane gets in the mix with a suicide onto the outside, but Soruka neutralizes the position with a Sins moonsault to the outside, and back in the ring. Loa Vice is not putting her sinister strike, and she ragdolls Reed into the corner into time for Ruka to tag in, and the two of them stunt with tag team strategy before Soruka pulls out a standing moonsault to land the hurt onto Reed, and Reed managed to fight her, feeding to some strikes, and tags in Hanley, and the former and current WWE Women's Speed Champion locks up, and it's Soruka who stands tall ahead of the tag to Kendall Gray, and Kendall Gray has since tosses Fallen Haley over her shoulder, but Fallen Haley quickly refers things to drive Kendall Gray into the ring post, and Kendall Gray slips and slides her out of the corner and nearly knocks Fallen Haley's lights out with a drop kick, and Fallen Haley managed to get back into the corner to tag in Reed, who else again who scars with a drop kick before since a pin fall on Kendall Gray, and Kendall Gray kicks out. And then Reed body and goes flying with a suplex, and JJ Jane tags in, and Kendall Gray goes a since flash pin and no assess either way. Then Final Influence is since in their tag as Reed makes a nasty tag to become the legal woman while the ref is mercilessly JC Jane from standing in the match, and Reed and Haley lay serious pain onto Gray, and the three of them taunt the camera going into the break. Then the break, or I'll say again, and then the commercials are on, and the action is not stopping and going back and forth, and Fallen Influence continues as since spells into the ring, and Kendall Gray is put a rolled. I'll say it again. Kendall Gray is but a rag doll in the corner as JC Jane stomps her broken body, and Kendall Gray falls with a ground stunt as JC Jane knocks her into the throat with an elbow. Then JC Jane tags back in and Fallen Haley to continue the tour, and Kendall Gray looks to lump as Fallen Haley sends her knee into her chest, and after taunting Lola Vice and Fallen Hazley sends Kendall Gray into the corner into the jaw of Reed, and Kendall Gray, I'll say it again, Kendall Gray pathetically reaches for her teammate only to be picked up by Reed, and Gray fires enough life in her for a flash pin reversal, but Reed responds quickly to drag Kendall Gray away from her teammate, and Reed lands a double hand axle onto Gray, and Gray desperately lands onto the ropes as Fallen Haley is tagged in one more time, and Fallen Haley gets Kendall Gray into a. I'll say it again. I repeat it again, guys. Kendall Gray gets into a wrestling neck hold as Soruka and Lola Vice try to rally her allies. It works, and Kendall Gray finds enough life to fight back against Fallen Haley, and it's not enough, however, as Fallen Haley continues to drag Kendall Gray into Final Influence I'll say again, corner for another tag to JC Jane, and Fallen Influence rattles through their fighters, and then back from the commercial, and it's another tag to Reed, and after laying out, I'll repeat it again, guys. After laying out, they go boom, 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 bang, 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 boom, 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 boom. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back, guys. I want to take a little breather. Okay, I'm back, guys. So, so Final Influence continues to sits to the ring, and Kendall Gray is by a red doll into her corner as JC Jane stops in her broken body, and Gray falls with a resistance as JC Jane knocks her into the throat with an elbow, and JC Jane tags back in, and Fallen Haley continues to soar, and Kendall Gray slips as Fallen Haley sends her crashing into her chest after stunning Loa Vice, and Fallen Haley sends Gray into the corner into the jaw of Reed, and Gray pathetically wrenches her teammate only to be picked up by Reed, and Gray finds enough life in her for a splash pin reversal, but Reed responds quickly to drag Gray away from her teammate, and Reed lands a double hand X onto Gray, and Gray decisively slants onto the ropes as Fallen Haley is tagged in one more time, and Fallen Haley gets Gray into a risen neck hold as Soruka and Lola Vice try to rally their allies, and it works, and Gray finds enough life to fight back against Fallen Haley, and it's not enough, however, as Fallen Haley continues to drag Gray into Final Influence counter for another tag to JC Jane, and Final Influence circles through their fighters. And then back from the break, it's another tag to Reed after laying out Gray with a flipjack, and Reed goes in for a flip, and JC Jane is the legal woman and curses out the ref before nearly knocking Gray's teeth out with a super kick. And the Final Influence circles continues as Fallen Haley is tagged in, but their essentially tag team move falls as Kendall Gray lands on her feet and lands the hot tag onto Loa Vice. Then Loa Vice runs in with a fences with her sinister strike, leaving all Final Influence members breaking and battering into the corner. And Loa Vice stretches once again. Loa Vice dodges across the ring as she levels JC Jane and Reed with a hip attack, but didn't think Haley is spared. Once again, Haley is spared in that it's a duplex, and so Ruka is in now, and she's not wasting any time, and she drops Hazley's neck onto her knee and goes in for the pin, but Final Influence is there to respond. JC Jane levels Loa Vice and Gray with a super kick, but so Ruka gives the NXT Women's Champion her receipt. Instantly, she finds herself in the Final Influence corner, and all three women work together to flat Soruka with offense maneuvers after offense maneuvers. Boom, 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 bang, 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 bang. Then it's chaos as Loa Vice and Kendall Gray come in to respond, and Final Influence. I'll say again. Final Influence level, and both women both face first. I'll say again. Fallen Haley lands both women before her face first is diving face first by Soruka, and JC Jane crashes into capitalizing on a batter Soruka, but finds herself at the end of a springboard Soul Snatcher, and she's down for 1, 2, 3, and that's how Soruka, Aloha Vice, and Kendall Gray defeated the Final Influence, with JC Jane and Fallen Haley and Lacey Reed. I think they're really good talent. Give it up to them, guys. That was good. That was a good trios match. I'm telling you. Back and forth, boom, 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 boom. Give it up to all those women, man. You guys think I really hate WWE, but I don't. Man, I'm giving up to them. I'm telling you. Then Saria has charged into the post-match celebration like a ragging bull, and she folds Gray in half as Soruka dodges a deadly spear, and JC Jane watches on with an amazing smile as Soruka and Saria being arguing, and Soruka shoves Saria, and Loa Vice has to separate the two as the segment ended, and then Bronco Numa and Linson Prince of OTM made their way to the ring, and we had OTM fences Chase U. This match was a little fun match. Let's talk about it, guys. So they put their hands up and get their Letterman jacket. Chase U are making their entrance, and Chase U attacked OTM before the match start. However, the level OTM with a double suicide, and Connor drags Priest before going to the top of the incredible moonsault, but Price just managed to hang out, and Bronco gets involved, and the tag team is underway as the chaos shimmers down, and it's Price turn to be at the beatdown toll, and that it's till he scores the hot tag, and Kels Dixon is up to bat, and he's quickly overwhelmed, but Bronco and Price and Dixon overcombinates. However, he gets the best of him, and OTM overwhelms him with heavy chomps and a big chomp, and OTM knocks the air out of Dixon with some tag team moves with Prince Lane Dixon out with a chokeslam from the expansion point, and Connor and Bronco are in now, and Connor runs circles around OTM members, and Connor looks for a springboard stunner, but Bronco interrupts, and only to be met with a Since athlete DDT anyways, and Prince comes in to tag up the pin, and Nexon responds with a several kicks to his Inceman, and then a tag team super kick sells the deal on the group project, and the two-man continue to overwhelm OTM, and Connor finally lands his springboard counter, but it seems Chase U over confronts and gets the better of them, and OTM sends the airborne Dixon and Connor out of the air and before slamming them together. And Bronco brings Connor back into the ring, and OTM lands one of their finishers to score the pinfall on Connor. And that's how OTM defeated Chase U, and that's how they won, guys. Then then Chilo Hill continues the whole show and tell another video package. Then we had Joe Henry and Leon Slater and Devon Evans and Miles Bourne fences the Death Side. I said Death Riders, didn't I? I meant to say Death Side. You know what I'm saying? Dark Side. Dark Side, Dead Side, Dark Side, Death Side. You know what I'm trying to say. But anyways, guys, like I said again, I'll repeat it again. So we got Joe Henry, Leon Slater, Devon Evans, and Miles Bourne fences Dark State, Dark Side, Dark State, whatever you want to call them. They should be called the Killers. That's what they should be called. The Killer Dark State. The Killer Dark State. That's what they should be called. Something more cooler than Dark State. Because it reminds me of saying Dark Side. They should have been called Dark Side because they are a dark side. You know what I'm saying? It's more easier to pronounce. But who cares? But anyways, guys, Dark State, I'll say it again, Dark State versus Joe Henry and Leon Slater and Devon Evans and Maya Bourne and Dark State, 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 Dark State. There, you're fine. There, you got it, Chris. You got it. You got it. Thank you. That's what I gotta say. For all the people that want to be an asshole. Okay, Joe Henry and Leon Slater and Devon Evans make their entrance on air, and Miles Bourne essentially is cursed to have his entrance during an air break in Dark State, since all four men square off, and Miles Bourne in a sense Grimson to start the night's main event, and Grimson pumps his pace in a display of demands between laying the pain on Miles Bourne, and Daquan is up next, and Max handles Miles Bourne's hand, but Miles Bourne responds with a power slam, and he's going for a near fall, but no dice. And Miles Bourne and Joe Hendry perform some tag team action on Daquan before Joe Henry takes the reins, and he puts some heavy offense onto Daquan, but falls to get the pinfall. And Cutter James is up next, but Joe Henry quickly figures him out, and Leon Slater tags it, and he and Devon Evans lay some high sense offense onto James, and Devon Evans knocks the wind out of James with a double stomp onto the back of the head, but falls and gets into the pinfall, and he follows things up with some chomps, but James wins in the battle of strength as a single forearm sends Devon Evans into the mat, and Devon Evans tries to strip to the Dark State counter, and Iron Survivor Challenge since Dion and is in the ring, and he lands some strikes onto Devon Evans, but Devon Evans responds with a picture perfect Hurricanrana before tagging in Miles Bourne, and Devon Evans sets Miles Bourne up for a chomp into Dion, but Miles Bourne fumbles the momentum and prevents him as Daquan pairs up with Dion, and the boom 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 bang 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 fast pace, fast pace. Good stuff, I'm telling you. Good stuff, man. And then the chaos begins. All men in the ring, and it's a 8-man flesh fits body slings out of the ring, and since slings are pulled and chase are grubs in, and man are sent from middle air as the Von Evans and Leon Slater double team dive goal since a Dark State looks to be coming out on top as Joe Henry is sent into the staircase, and Daquan shocks Miles Bourne with some sense air pace taunt as the show goes into the break. Then Daquan and Miles Bourne return to the ring, and some sense in ring order is resistant as Daquan beat down, and Miles Bourne manages to kick out as Daquan pins a sense, and Miles Bourne manages to overpower Daquan and gets him into an arm lock and into essentially escape, and Daquan essentially climbs right into Team Miles Bourne and counters, and Leon Slater tags himself in, and Sicily in his takedown of Daquan, and Daquan finally gets some breathing room, and that means that it's time to tag in James, and James puts pressure on Leon Slater. And then Sicily, the TNA X Division champion, wiggles out right into Dark State, on counter, and Dion re-enters the ring to since into a lock on Leon Slater's neck, but Leon Slater refused to yell, and he managed to turn things around and tosses Dion up and over in just long enough to get the tag on Devon Evans back from the break, and things are less than great for Devon Evans, and he has been back into dark state counter and Spence laying some strikes onto Daquan, and he's not making the tag, and Daquan since to take him back to the dark state I'll say corner, but Devon Evans Scars managed to tag in, and Joe Henry and the TNA sprints clock to two Dark State members with stuffed lariats, but Dion comes in to ruin any faith in Joe Henry. Then Grimson is back in the mix, and he's Max handled the beloved wrestling musician Joe Henry and bounces off of the corner and the ropes as Griffs targets his head and throws and chest, and things do not get much better under Daquan, who tags in to continue and lands hard onto Joe Henry, and then Joe Henry sends to wiggle free from the hot tag, but Daquan essentially tags in, and James are there to stop, and James tags in, and Dion, after falling to do much to Joe Henry, and Dion looks confident as he locks in the glints onto Joe Henry. And then Dion's first mistake was bouncing Joe Henry's strength as Joe Henry managed to muscle the Dark State matter up onto a standing suplex, and Devon Evans and Dion Slater spring onto action after Dion is tagged in, but the high flying athletes are not matched for the competition strength of since the Dark State members, and then it seems that their overconfident will be their undoing as Leon Slater managed to turn their four-man finisher onto a double drop kick. Then the breather room allows him to tag in, and Devon Evans, who since flips across the ring and elucidates Daquan and Dion and Cutter, and he's getting hot in here as Evans takes off his shirt in a sense of passion, and this match still marching on after Dark State breaks up a pin from Devon Evans onto Grimson and falls a following spectacular series of cutters from the younger superstar and bodies Larry later to the floor as Dark State and Team Borns begin brawling with reckless Abaddon, and Evans sends up Leon Slater for one of his signature dives, but before he can take flight, Miles Bourne takes himself in after a sense moment of confusion, and Miles Bourne presents Leon Slater to go for it, and Devon Evans looks downright incensed as Leon Slater allows for Miles Bourne to land his finish, and Miles Bourne gains the pinfall, and the Iron Survivor entrance order privilege, but not without their sense of his teammates. And Miles Bourne and Devon Evans and Leon Slater and Joe Henry won and defeated the Dark State right there, guys. Which was a good match, I'm telling you, and stuff. Loved it. I'm telling you, that was a good main event for the part of the deadline. You know what I'm saying? Which that already happened. Like I said again. So then we had Obafemi and Ricky Saints sign deadline contract and stuff, guys. And this was the end of the show. Let's talk about it. So the main event, since as the show is not done, we cut to a dark room where Ever Rain presents challenging Obafemi and Ricky Saints with a contract of their title match at deadline, and Obafemi and Ricky Saints stare each other down, and Obafemi reminds Ricky Saints that he was since during their first face-off at NXT No Mercy and Burns by a long title reign, and he signs the contract and stands, and Ricky Saints I'll say again, Ricky Saints mirrors him, and Obafemi promised to destroy Ricky Saints and sends him to be a Brent's footnote with the story of the Rusler legacy in NXT and WWE, and Ricky Saints powders in the confidence that follows that should he drop his NXT championship at deadline, but he says that they will never know such a reality. He reminds Obafemi that he is the NXT champion, that he's essentially to Obafemi's rules and ruler title, and Ricky Saints puts his pen to paper, and Everrain announces that at Deadline, the NXT Championship match will be open to the show and all of that stuff, and that's what happened right there, guys. And I give this NXT a 9 out of 10. That freaking match with the Dark State, that was great. Back and forth, boom, 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 bang, 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 bang. All the matches were so great, hard hitting, I'm telling you. I really love NXT, I'm telling you guys. And when I have a hard time and I'm doing this, just know I'm saying good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. That's what I'm saying. If you don't like me going like this and go like that, then go watch somebody else. Go watch somebody else. If they like that freaking crap of going like, this is that. I don't like when people do that. I want people to do this. That's what I want people to do from now on. Is appreciate this shit. Appreciate. I don't see anybody appreciating professional wrestling like I do somewhat. You need to go like this and go like this and don't care if people hate you or not and spit in their face because they want to be a jackass to you. That's what people like to do. That's what people like to do in this community. Is spit in your face. Well, do it right back to them. It's called karma. What comes around goes around. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's like every time you people are like, oh, oh my God, do better, do better. Just go boom, 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 boom. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, because it's good stuff. It is. And you don't appreciate crap, you bigger YouTubers. I see you guys. You're like, oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. No, be like this. Hi guys, this show was good. This happened. This happened. Boom, 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 boom. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff. That's what you should do. I'm sick of it. I'm sick. I don't care if I get 0 subscribers or lose all my subscribers because it's the truth. It's the fucking truth. It's the truth. It's just the fucking god honest truth. You guys should come on here and go fast pace and say it's good. Nobody wants to fucking be on here all night and all day. I'm sorry to say to be rude. I appreciate wrestling. I love wrestling. I love being on here. If I could be for 4 or 5 hours talk about it, I do. I like doing it. But being on here all day, people have other things to do. Good stuff like relax, watch movies, go do other things with their lives. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I love wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I love watching it. I really do, guys. I could be on here for 6 hours if I wanted to, like that one time, 5 or 6 hours. But it makes me pissed off that we got people on here that don't want to say good stuff for 5 hours or 4 hours. It's like this. It's like I got to be the asshole. I got to be the jerk. I might as well do a short about it. I'm going to do a short about this shit. I really am. Because I'm tired of people in the IWC. I am tired. I am tired. But anyways, guys, like I said again, I gave this NXT a 9 out of 10. For all the people that love me and support me, much love and peace out and much love, guys, for all the people that support me. And if you want to lose me and you want to unsubscribe to me, don't care. Bye-bye. 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 Don't care. Bye. Bye. I can be the asshole too. I can be the asshole. And I love being one. Just remember that. Just remember that, you people. I like being an asshole. If people are an asshole to me. If you're an asshole to me, I'll be an asshole to you. But that's how things work. But anyways, guys, like I said again, I gave this NXT a 9 out of 10. It was a very good show. I loved it. This is CJD 2006. I'll say it again, guys. This is Christopher Jackson, Denver 2006. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notification bells as always, and peace out and take care and much love.